explore things with you. I wanted to chat with you about this crazy market we're in and see how I can help you. Cool? I have some practical tips for you. This is going to be different. This is not the typical stuff we talk about here, FSBOs and expireds and all that stuff. You already know that. We've covered it in mindset. We already know that. We covered it. We'll talk about it again. And if you have questions about it, of course, I'll be happy to answer it. But today I want to give you 7 different strategies, 7 different things you can implement or add to your repertoire, to your toolbox, to help more clients, find more good leads, find more sellers. Here's how the whole thing started. A couple of weeks ago, I got a call from one of my PATH students. And she says, you know, I've kind of hit a slump, and I got distracted, and I started working with buyers. I got a little desperate. Things were drying up. You know, the market is really hot. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? The rates have gone up, so you would think things on the listing side should slow down, but they haven't, at least not in most markets. Here in DC for sure, it's pretty crazy and hot. So she says, I started working with buyers, and it was the worst mistake, the worst decision I could possibly make. Things just got nuts. You know, I got burned out, spent a lot of time, didn't close anything. It was frustrating, bad mistake. Plus, I abandoned the systems I already had in place to generate seller leads, so now it feels like I'm starting all over again. Can you relate to that? Can you? Like you feel like, oh shit, it's really hard to get listings, I better start working with buyers, even though your coach Borino tells you all the time, don't stop, don't do it, don't do it. You're gonna burn out, you're gonna spend a lot of time, you have no guarantee you're gonna get paid, you're gonna get into bidding wars, you're gonna show tons of properties, waste a lot of time. No guarantee you're going to get paid. It's a really bad business model. It's a brutal way to make a living. But I know some of you feel like that's the only way I'm going to earn some cash. You won't. So today we're going to fix that. But let me just preface that with this. You should not abandon the systems I teach you. If you have new expireds in your area, work them. Work them daily. Use the system. Come on board. Do the path with me. Or get the expired plus. I will help you set up the system. I'm here to help. That's my mission. If you have FSBOs in your area, work them. Yes, more and more buyers, agents help FSBOs and end up putting deals together. Maybe that's what you got to do. Because here is my logic. I don't believe that you should be cutting and discounting commissions and becoming one of those, I'll sell your house for $9.99, Walmart-style real estate. That's not what we're saying here. But sometimes $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, 3%, 2%, whatever percent of a commission is better than zero. And if you can help somebody in the process, that may come back to you. And I'm a big believer that if you do well here, if you send goodwill here, and if you help people here, it's going to come back from there. It should not be a complete business model, but be flexible. Stay flexible so you not only stay afloat, but you help people and thrive. So if you have FSBOs, work the FSBOs. Referrals, that should be your bread and butter. I've been teaching you and sharing with you, and you have the referral plus, right? You have the system. If you're on path, you have the whole manual, how to do referrals, nice and easy. No Amway, no pushy, no who do you know who wants to buy or sell real estate nonsense that just annoys people. You do it in an elegant way. So do all these things. But in addition to that, today I'm going to give you 7 other things you're going to add to it that will get you sellers, that will get you leads. Now, rather than trying to reach them on the seller side, that sometimes works, but you have to run a lot of ads, you have to do a lot of prospecting, you have to do a lot of effort to do that. Why not catch them on the selling side? So instead of being that typical marketing, advertising salesperson, you're going to become their resource. So here's what I mean. Check this out. If they have a strong why, meaning the house is too small, the neighborhood is going down, the schools are not as good, whatever it is, we address one problem, but we're going to reach it on the buyer's side. If they have a why, you're going to figure out a how. In other words, if the house is really too small and they need to move, the problem of we can't find another house, you're going to solve. You can fix it for them. Why? Because the why is so strong. See, the problem is when people say, well, you know, we would sell, but we don't really know where we're going to go. What is the problem? They don't have a strong problem. They don't have a pain strong enough to drive them out of that house. And they're not excited too much about the house where they would move to. There's not big of a problem. There is not too much driving, too much what I call the core driving emotion. So there must be a strong why, and you must know what it is. Then we can move forward, and then we're going to address it in marketing. So let me give you some strategies, and I'll show you some examples how you're going to use this. Number 1, direct mail and Facebook campaign. These work well if you combine them. Now, as you know, Facebook is going through some changes. There will be some targeting changes. There will be some adjustments based on the Senate hearings, some privacy rules that Facebook will implement. So you have to stay flexible. But for now, what you can do is target certain homeowners in a certain area. And you can speak to that problem, and you can combine it. You can do a postcard campaign, you can do a letter campaign, and you can combine it with a Facebook campaign, where you capture them on the buyer's side. So this is what I mean. House too small. What can you offer? How to find the perfect spacious house. You can figure out solutions, and you can help the home buyer on the buying side address the concern, well, it's really hard to find a decent house, that's what we're looking for. You can help them with that. How to make the irresistible offer. What if you had a free report, let's say a 2-page PDF? What if you had a video where if they register, you give them some points, you give them some help, because they know it's a crazy seller's market and they'll be competing. What if you guide them how to compete with multiple offers and win? What if you tell them where the best deals are right now, how to look for them? Because even in the hottest market, there are still homes for sale. There are still things moving. Smart financing for a bigger house. See what I mean? Now I'm incorporating something that resonates with that seller and addressing their problem. So this would be your typical ad. Real estate market, what are the homes going for? Request a free CMA. Now, if you do this and you have the right audience and you target and you have the right frequency and all that, they still work. Do what works. Don't stop. I'm not saying kill your advertising. But what if you added something like this? Open houses, price-reduced homes, or large homes in Arlington, Virginia. Address the problem that the seller has on their buyer side. Are you with me? Is that making sense? All right. So this is just one of many examples. You can get creative, but speaking to the problem, addressing the problem, getting excited, the seller on the buyer side. That's the whole idea. Number 2, where can you get sellers right now? Yard sales and estate sales. Now let me show you, this is my student Vesta. She won the Pathfinder Award. Actually, she's on path with me. And she recently posted this. I closed 2 sales from referrals and 2 pending, 1 active. I picked up a listing from visiting a yard sale in my neighborhood. It's an estate sale. Mom passed away. I offered to help with the yard sale, and they called me a few days later and asked me to list. Contract signed. We'll list it next week. And so on and so on. How cool is that? So here's the idea. Use the opportunity when somebody is moving a lot of stuff, cleaning a lot of stuff. Maybe they're interested in selling. Maybe they know somebody. Maybe they need help. Maybe all you're going to do is just connect with somebody new and get in a conversation. As an expert, as a real estate advisor, you offer information, you have information, and you have insight, meaning actionable parts of that information that many people find interesting, even if they may not be interested in selling right now. But you won't know until you try, until you approach people. So use these interactions, use these every opportunity you have to connect with people, to communicate with people. Because according to the US Census Bureau, about 12% of us will move this year. That's over 30 million people. So if one person doing the yard sale, maybe they're thinking about selling. Maybe there is something going on. But even if it's not, you make a good impression, you build a good connection with them. They may have somebody, they may know somebody. Everybody can be a potential client or they know somebody. So using estate sales, using yard sales, and there are many resources where we can find them, starting with Craigslist, or just driving around on Saturday, meeting people, talking to people. If nothing else, you will really improve your ability to communicate, which, as you know, that's base of trust. How you communicate, the questions you ask, how you connect with people as a human being, not as a needy, desperate, listing-hungry salesperson. Yes, you're ambitious, that's cool. But you're cool, you're pleasant to talk to. You connect with people on a human level. You develop this skill, you're going to be unstoppable. Technology will not replace real estate. Technology will make real estate easier because it will help connect. It will help communicate. But at the end, it's going to be one human being helping another human being. You master that, you're a rock star. So use that opportunity. Go to yard sales, go to estate sales, like Vesta. Zillow, make me move. Another great opportunity. Somebody's thinking about something, and yes, it is true. Some of these sellers, their head is up their ass, and they think they own a castle, right? But if somebody goes through the trouble to indicate and raise their hand, hey, we're thinking about selling, it's worth exploring. What is the secret there? Just like with everything else, communicate. Be genuinely interested. Connect with them on a human level. Connect with them as a curious expert to see, can I help in any way? Can I be of any help? Can I be a resource, any information? Because here's the thing. Let me show you. This is just in my area. There are 30 right now Make Me Move sellers. Some will be realistic, some are motivated, some are not. Some are worth talking to, some are not. But you don't know and you won't know about their motivation and situation until you connect with them, until you exchange a couple of texts, get them on the phone or visit them in person. So do reach out. It can be a great source. Maybe not business now, maybe down the road, but that's where the good follow-up comes in. But if they're willing to put the property on Zillow and say, hey, I'm thinking about it, definitely worth going after. All expired, all withdrawn listings. Go back. Here's the thing. Somebody, let's say 6 months ago, had a plan. They said, we're going to sell our house. And then for whatever reason, the property either expired, usually because it was overpriced, or they took it off the market, something changed. But sometimes, just because the house is off the market, the idea, the plan, the desire, the problem doesn't necessarily go away. Sometimes it does. If it's a job transfer or if it's a family situation, true. But it's the same concept. You don't know until you know. And until you know, it's worth exploring. It's worth reaching out to these folks because very often, you know how agents get desperate for listings and they go chase down all the new expireds and they bombard them and people get all pissed off? That fades out very quickly. They don't have a system. They don't have a systematic follow-up approach. You have an opportunity. So go back 6 months, a year. Prices in most areas are going up. True? So a seller who tried to sell a year ago, you can approach and say, hey, look, I got some good news. I'm sorry it didn't work out last time, but here's the thing. Prices have gone up. You can get more for your house, possibly, than last year. Let's explore. Let's see what would be the most a qualified buyer would be willing to pay you right now. Why don't we get together for a few minutes? We'll sit down, we'll figure it out. If you're still interested, if a still good price would make sense for you to move, and if we could find a great house for you wherever you wanted to go, maybe we can make it a reality. See what I mean? So it's worth exploring. All right? Okay. Let me show you the next one. For rent properties. If you have a homeowner who has a property for rent, maybe they don't want to be a landlord. Maybe they're sick and tired of it. Maybe they could cash out and do something, especially if the property is vacant. You never know. Worth going after, worth talking to them, and here's how you approach it. Is there anything I can do to help? Would you like me to run a credit report? Is there anything can I refer my clients to you? Maybe you have somebody who may be looking for a property to rent. It is the general approach I always teach you is be cool and helpful first. Worry about the commission second. Yes, run a profitable business, but do it from a place of contribution. So if somebody's trying to rent a place and they're having a hard time finding a good tenant, or if they had to kick 2 tenants out in the last 2 years, maybe they're getting second thoughts. Maybe they're like, well, maybe we should cash out and just enjoy our retirement in Florida, or buy an income property closer to us, or buy something different, whatever the situation may be. Worth exploring. This can turn into a listing. Maybe now, maybe down the road. Go after them. Connect with people. See if you can help them. Vacant properties. If there is a property in your neighborhood, and you can always tell, the lawn is overgrown, there's a pile of newspapers, of flyers, mailbox is usually either full or it's taped, or there are rubber bands on it, so there is no mail being delivered. You can tell if a property is vacant. Check out, see if you can track down the owner. Title company can help you. I used to use my title company for that. I would say, hey, there's this property. See if you can help me track down who owns it. And then you reach out. What can you use as a resource? Mailman, talk to your mailman, mail carriers, mail delivery guys, or ladies. If you happen to see a property that you think is vacant, let me know. Give me the address. Your friends, your family, your neighbors. I'm looking for vacant homes. If you happen to see one, let me know. You driving around, sometimes just going through a neighborhood, if you go by the house that looks vacant, kind of run down, abandoned, empty, take the address down. electric utility company. You have the power company go by. Hey, if you guys happen to know of any vacant homes in the area, I'm interested. Then you can go to the vacant property, knock on the neighbor's door. Do you happen to know who owns the place next door? What's the story behind it? I have a couple of buyers who want to buy in this neighborhood. It would be nice to get this property back cleaned up. Do you happen to know? How can I get hold of them? Okay? So be creative. And then you send a simple message once you track them down. James, would you consider selling the house on 1234 Maple Avenue for a good price? That's all you got to do. Super simple. Reach out and do it multiple times. And strategy number 7 is your open house. Do a good open house. Here is why. Same report. Remember the report I showed you a little while ago? 50% of the home sellers were married couples who moved within 20 miles from their previous home. Think about that. Half of the home sellers are married couples who move just within 20 miles, usually within the same general area. That means some of the open house visitors you're getting, or you're going to get if you do a good open house, you want to get 20, 30 visitors minimum. That's a good open house. Have to sell. How do we know that? Statistics. Just pure numbers. Half of the home sellers were married couples who move within 20. That means they live somewhere in the general area. What's the number one reason they want to move? They need a bigger place. So open house can be a great source of listings, but it needs to be done right. That means you market in the neighborhood, you door knock, you pass out some flyers, you put out a lot of signs, you invite neighbors, you maybe run an ad on Craigslist or Facebook or both. So it requires some preparation, some work. Now this doesn't need to be your listing. This doesn't need to be your property. There can be another agent in your office. There can be another agent anywhere. I used to hold open house at the beginning when I had no listings. There'd be just another agent from a completely different office. I would just make an agreement, say, hey, look, I'm going to hold it in a couple of weeks from now. I'm going to promote it. Let's make it happen. Your sellers will be happy. They're going to get good turnout. I'm going to serve some refreshments. We're going to put a boatload of signs out there. And now the listing agent is a hero because he's marketing the property, and I get some leads. But the trick is guest register. You must have contact information of everybody who comes to your open house. That's the secret. That's how you're going to make it work. Because the power will be in a follow-up. Yes, you're going to make some connections right through an open house, but especially if things get too busy, you won't have time. So you call everybody back, you contact everybody back. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. I apologize, things got a little crazy there. We got really busy. How did you like the house? Would you like to buy? That's the first question I would ask. What's your situation? How soon would you like to move? Where do you live now? Do you own the home? Are you thinking about selling it? Is it on the market now? Just qualify. Have 5, 10-minute conversation. How can I help you? What would be an ideal scenario? What would be the perfect house for you guys? How can I help you find it? That's it. Be resourceful, be cool, be helpful. All right? Now, if you want me to help you, I have a program where we put all this together for you. We build all these systems for you. It's the path. It's like the boot camp 2.0 real estate, where we do all these systems. We build your systems, expired, for sold by owner, referrals, open houses, follow-up, good listing presentation, all these little pieces, all these little tools that you have to have in your toolbox. That's what we do. All right, guys, so those are the 7 strategies. Now, none of this is like, oh my God, this is going to make me wealthy. I'm going to buy a jet next year. Of course. But if you start adding these to the stuff that's already working for you, things you're already doing, you can pick up a listing here. You can pick up a couple of really good leads there. You can get a referral from that person over there. And you can put some leads on your follow-up. They're going to turn into a listing and a transaction later. And you start accumulating this business from the sources that you may not think about or you may have not thought about before, which is the idea. All right?